Here's a bit from my radio show today on my reaction to Brett Kavanaugh and why I think that his nomination needs to be opposed, because he's called to a higher standard as a human being than what he's lived up to so far.
I think this nomination of Judge Kavanaugh is going to go down. I think there's enough energy around the fact that this country does not yet again want to take a man and give them a role as a Supreme Court justice, let them be a senator, let them be a priest, let them be a president, let them be the head of the Boy Scouts. If you treat, and you have a history of treating people abusively sexually, with your words, with your body, and you won't admit it, you don't deal with it, you won't talk about it, you want to claim those people to be liars or that you operate under a higher authority. This country is fed up with it, and I think we should be fed up with it. And I think people of every sector, I can't imagine a sector that's not sick and tired of these kinds of systems and these kinds of people just walking through and acting like there's nothing to see here. Now, look, the prospect of the Me Too movement having extended all the way back to, with its powerful voice and its powerful flow, all the way back into someone's high school years when you're a 50-some-year or nearly a 50-year-old man, can seem daunting for a lot of men. It's terrifying for them. Right, the feeling that they did something at some point and they regret it and they're living with all this terror. I understand that. I hear men talking about that all the time. Point being, that's not the greatest thing to worry about right now. If Judge Kavanaugh had said, these are allegations that I don't, remember, saw it differently, and said, but if she's telling me this happened, I need to meet with her. I need to put my candidacy on hold. We need to reconcile this. This is crucial. The country cannot have a Supreme Court justice that has this hanging over their heads. Had responded in any of those ways, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we're going to figure out what went on, and we're going to speak with a unified voice, me and her, because over these years, it has been so deep. She's claiming it's been so deeply affected in her life. It has just recently come out to her and how damaging it has been, and I'm going to put my life on hold now so that I can talk about this. Had he taken any kind of a stance like that, he would have risen above it all. People could have applauded him. It's what we want out of our Supreme. We want somebody in the public sphere to rise up and to say there's a higher standard and there is a way. And look, I get it. If you think you're falsely accused, that's part of the role. When someone who knows you by name and brings us, that's part of what it brings. To shut it all down and to try to hustle it all through, it's got all the signs. And I don't care what your political party is. There's a way to handle this kind of thing. It was really lectury there. Hey, Tom from Land O'Lakes, you've got some thoughts about this Kavanaugh nomination.
Well, it sounds like you've already considered that you think somebody should respond to an accusation just because somebody makes one. I do believe that accusation is totally politically motivated. The timing was politically motivated. And I know for a fact your station would withhold information and time that out as best you can, like you did to that toe tapper at the airport. I mean, I know you guys had information on that stuff, and you delayed releasing that or even talking about it until, what was his name, Jeffers or something? I can't remember the guy's name. But
you're talking about the Senate
plays in that game. And
you're talking about the Senate.
I would say I categorically deny the accusation and, make her prove it. He doesn't have to prove a thing.
Yeah, I think, Tom, you bring up an interesting point, and I want to take it that if any news outlet or a media outlet is withholding information because they think it's going to do their side wrong, they should be brought into the same level of condemnation. Absolutely, without reservation. I certainly had nothing to do with it, and if I knew that somebody here did, what you're suggesting, we'd bring that up. But even that, to take it seriously, that there's an accusation that's worth taking seriously. Now, look, it is a difficult thing if someone says, I've been accused and I didn't do it. But if you want to have a public role in this society, and there's a lot of ways you have a public role, there's an obligation you have to the public. And to say someone that I knew, that we went to high school with, that there is a connection, and here's a person who's otherwise of reputable me, all the things that are true, about a woman who didn't want to even bring this up. And to say that when she says, I'm willing to bring it up now because now that guy is going to be a Supreme Court justice, and to call that politically motivated, or to say it about the person in North Carolina when they said, well, it was one thing if he was just going to be around here, but if he was going to become a senator, that crosses a line for me. I think that's totally reasonable for someone to say, I'm not going to ruin a guy's life for something that he did and that I've recently remembered or have realized how badly it impacted me. But when somebody then says, I want to become a Supreme Court justice, that nobody has a right to be a Supreme Court justice. And to the point that, well, he should just deny it and make her prove it, I think that falls below the standard that we should expect of Supreme Court justices. That's the thing I'm getting at here. If you want to be in one of these roles, if you want to serve, and I think there's no doubt in my mind that Brett Kavanaugh wants to be a Supreme Court justice because he wants to serve this country as a Supreme Court justice. I don't doubt that for a moment. Giving him that, it requires then for him to stand up, not to let the White House, not to let lawyers or anyone else say this for him, for him to say, I want to make sure that my service as a Supreme Court justice of this nation is not at all marred by something that I'm going to take all the level of seriousness that I can. That's the point that I think we're missing in all of this. Where is he standing up and saying, I want to make sure that I have not forgotten something, or that I didn't harm someone in a way that I didn't know of, and I'm going to make sure that that's not the case. If you are someone who's seeking to be a justice of this nation, you should pursue that level of justice, in my view. Tom, I appreciate your call. Really glad that you listen. AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. Doug Pagitt. We'll talk to you on Monday.